Hi everybody, we're ready for chapter 15. This is Searches and Smells. All the animals had been standing around listening, and when they had gone into the ship's dining room and were having tea, Dab Dab came up behind the doctor's chair and whispered, "Ask the porpoises if the boy's uncle was drowned. They'll know." "All right," said the doctor, taking a second piece of bread and jam. "What are those funny clicking noises you are making with your tongue?" asked the boy. "Oh, I just said a couple of words in duck language," the doctor answered. "This is Dab Dab, one of my pets." "I didn't even know that ducks had a language," said the boy. "Are all these other animals your pets too? What is that strange looking thing with two heads?" "Shh," the doctor whispered. "That is the Push Me Pull You. Don't let him see we're talking about him. He gets so embarrassed." "Do you think you will be able to find my uncle for me?" asked the young boy. "Well, we are going to try very hard," said the doctor. "Now, what was your uncle like to look at?" "He had red hair," the boy answered. "Very red hair, and the picture of an anchor tattooed on his arm. He was a strong man, a kind uncle, and the best sailor in the South Atlantic. His fishing boat was called the Saucy Sally, a cutter-rigged sloop." "What's a cutter-rigged sloop?" whispered Gub Gub, turning to Jip. "Shh! That's the kind of ship the man had," said Jip. "Keep still, can't you?" "Oh," said the pig, "is that all? I thought it was something to drink." So the doctor left the boy to play with the animals in the dining room and went upstairs to look for passing porpoises. And soon a whole school came dancing and jumping through the water on their way to Brazil. When they saw the doctor leaning on the rail of his ship, they came over to see how he was getting on. And the doctor asked him if they had seen anything of a man with red hair and an anchor tattooed on his arm. "Do you mean the master of Saucy Sally?" asked the porpoises. "Yes," said the doctor, "that's the man. Has he been drowned?" "His fishing sloop was sunk," said the porpoises, "for we saw it lying on the bottom of the sea, but there was nobody inside it because we went and looked." "His little nephew is on the ship with me here," said the doctor. "He is quite afraid his uncle has drowned." "Oh, he isn't drowned," said the porpoises. "If he were, we would have heard of it from the shrimp. We hear all the saltwater news. The shellfish call us the ocean gossips. No, tell the little boy we are sorry. We do not know where his uncle is, but we are quite certain he hasn't been drowned in the sea." So the doctor ran downstairs with the news and told the nephew, who clapped his hands with happiness. And the Push Me Pull You took the little boy on his back and gave him a ride around the dining room table while all the other animals followed behind, beating the dish covers with spoons, pretending it was a parade. "Your uncle must be found," said the doctor. "That is the next thing, now that we know he wasn't thrown into the sea." Then Dab Dab came up to him again and whispered, "Ask the eagles to look for the man. No living creature can see better than an eagle. When they are miles high in the air, they can count the ants crawling on the ground. Ask the eagles." So the doctor sent one of the swallows off to get some eagles, and in about an hour the little bird came back with 6 different kinds of eagles: a black eagle, a bald eagle, a fish eagle, a golden eagle, an eagle vulture, and a white-tailed sea eagle. And they stood on the rail of the ship like rounded shoulder soldiers, all in a row, stern and still and stiff. Their great gleaming black eyes shot darting glances here and there and everywhere. Gub Gub was scared and got behind a barrel. The doctor said to the eagles, "This boy's uncle has been a lost fisherman with red hair and an anchor marked on his arm. Would you be so kind as to see if you can find him for us?" Eagles do not talk very much. All they answered in their husky voices was, "You may be sure that we will do our best for John Dolittle." Then they flew off, and Gub Gub came out from behind the barrel to see them go. Up and up and up they went, higher and higher and higher. Then they flew in different directions, north, east, south, and west, looking for the tiny grains of black sand creeping across the wide blue sky. "My gracious," said Gub Gub in a hushed voice. "They are so near the sun. I hope they don't burn their feathers." They were gone a long time, and when they came back it was almost night. And the eagles said to the doctor, "We have searched all the seas and all the countries and all the islands and all the cities and all the villages and half the world, but we have failed. Nowhere could we see any sign of this boy's uncle. And if we could not see him, then he is not to be seen. For John Dolittle, we have done our best." Then the 6 great birds flapped their big wings and flew back to their homes in the mountains and rocks. "Well," said Dab-Dab, "what are we going to do now? The boy's uncle must be found. I wish Chee-Chee was here. He would soon find the man. Good old Chee-Chee. I wonder how he's getting on." "If we only had Polynesia with us," said the White Mouse, "she would soon think of some way. Do you remember how she got us all the way out of prison the second time? My, but she was a clever one." "I don't think so much of those eagle fellows," said Jip. "They're just stuck up. They may have very good eyesight, but when you ask them to find a man for you, they can't do it. And they have the nerve to say that nobody else could do it. And I don't think a whole lot of those gossipy old porpoises either. All they could tell us was that the man isn't in the sea. We don't want to know where he isn't. We want to know where he is." "It's easy to grumble," said Gub-Gub, "but it isn't easy to find a man when you have to hunt the whole world for him. You couldn't find the boy's uncle any more than the eagles could." "Couldn't I?" said the dog. "That's what you think, silly little piglet. I haven't begun to try yet, have I? You wait and see." Then Jip went to the doctor and said, "Please ask the boy if he has anything in his pockets that belonged to his uncle." So the doctor asked him. The boy took from his pocket a great big red handkerchief and said, "This was my uncle's." And soon as the boy pulled it out, Jip shouted, "Peppermint, by Jingo! Richard's oil of peppermint tablets. Don't you smell it? Your uncle takes peppermints, doesn't he?" "Yes, my uncle took a lot of peppermints for his stomach." "Fine," said Jip. "The man's as good as found. It will be easy as stealing milk from a kitten. Tell the boy I'll find his uncle for him in less than a week. Let us go upstairs and see which way the wind is blowing." As they climbed the stairs, Jip explained, "Wind is very important in long-distance smelling. It mustn't be a fierce wind, and of course it must blow the right way. A nice steady breeze is the best of all. Ha! The wind is from the north." Then Jip went up to the front of the ship and smelled the wind. He started muttering to himself, "Tar, Spanish, onions, lamp oil, wet raincoats, crushed leaves, lace curtains being washed. No, my mistake. Lace curtains hanging out to dry, and foxes, hundreds of them cubs." "And can you really smell all those different things in this one wind?" asked the doctor. "Why, of course," said Jip. "Those are only a few of the easy smells. Wait now, and I'll tell you some of the harder scents that are coming on this wind." Then the dog shut his eyes tight, poked his nose straight up in the air, and sniffed hard, his mouth half open. For a long time he said nothing. He kept as still as a stone. He hardly seemed to breathe at all. When at last he began to speak, it sounded almost as if he were singing sadly in a dream. "Bricks," he whispered very low. "Old yellow bricks crumbling with age in a garden wall. The sweet breath of young cows standing in a mountain stream. The tin roof of a hen house with the midday sun on it. A dusty road with sycamore trees, little mushrooms bursting through rotting leaves. And any parsnips?" asked Gub-Gub. "No," said Jip. "You always think of things to eat. No parsnips and no peppermint. Plenty of sugar candies and sweet cream and a few chocolates, but no peppermint. We must wait till the wind changes to the south." "I think you're a fake, Jip," said Gub-Gub. "Who ever heard of finding a man in the middle of the ocean just by smell? I knew you couldn't do it." "Look here," said Jip, getting really angry. "You're going to get a bite on the nose in a minute." "Stop quarreling," said the doctor. "Stop it. Life's too short. Tell me, Jip, where do you think those smells are coming from?" "From Devon and Wales, most of them," said Jip. "The wind is coming that way." "Well, well," said the doctor, "you know that's really quite remarkable. I must make a note of that for my new book. I wonder if you could train me to smell as well as that. But no, perhaps I'm better off the way I am. Let's go down to supper. I'm quite hungry." "So am I," said Gub-Gub. And that is the end of chapter 15. Tomorrow is called The Rock. And there's a little picture of the peppermints that the uncle likes to eat. I'll see you then.